Capitation is discussed on page 473 in the book. So a capitation fee is basically just a monthly set payment that's going to be paid to the pharmacy by an insurance company for a patient, no matter how many prescriptions they get for that month. So the reason why pharmacies would agree, or insurance companies would agree to these fees, would just to be to ensure that they receive a flat rate each month, no matter the cost of the prescriptions that the patient actually gets. So the way we can calculate the profit or loss is just by taking the amount of the capitation fee and subtracting out the cost of medication. So let's take a look at this example here. A pharmacy accepts a capitation fee of $250 for a patient with multiple monthly prescriptions. The wholesale costs for the monthly drugs are as follows. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prescriptions this month. Calculate the monthly profit or loss for the pharmacy. So we're getting paid the $250 no matter what. Here are the costs of the prescription. So all we're going to do is just subtract out all of the costs of drugs from the fee that we're actually getting paid. So I've written these amounts down here below. So we're going to take the $250 capitation fee, and I'm just going to use my calculator and subtract out all of these amounts. So minus $695 minus $29.35 minus $48.76 minus $11.99 minus $27.47. So that leaves me with $125.48. Now, this is a positive number, it's not negative, so that would mean that I'm making a profit. That's what's left of the fee minus the cost that I'm spending on the prescription. So I'm actually making a profit of $125.48. If you were to get a negative number, that would be a loss. So let's look back at this problem here. Part 2. The next month, the patient requires additional medications that cost $49.50, $57.46, and $24.99. The patient still receives her regular monthly prescriptions as scheduled. What is the profit or loss for month 2? Well, let's look back here. We're getting this capitation fee every month. So we're actually getting paid this $250 again, but she's just getting these additional medications. We already determined the profit for the month for the regular prescriptions. So all we really need to do is just subtract out these 3 others to find the profit or the loss for the next month. Now, if you wanted to, you could start with $250 and subtract all of these out again, and then subtract these out, but we already know the difference here. So let's just take this number, the $125.48, and subtract out the rest of these prescriptions. So $125.48 minus $49.50 minus $57.46 minus $24.99. That leaves me with negative $6.47. So that second month, I'm going to have a loss of $6.47. Now it says, what is the profit or loss over the 2-month period? Well, we said the first month we made $125.48. The second month we lost $6.47. So the overall profit or loss would be the difference between these two numbers. So $125.48, that's how much we made, and then we lost $6.47. So we could subtract out that $6.47, which which leaves us with positive 119.01. So in the 2-month period, we made a profit of 119.01. So if you're wanting to do more examples of capitation fees, practice problems H on page 474 has about 5 examples there that you can go through. I think it's pretty simple. You just take the capitation fee minus the cost of prescriptions. So if you're still struggling with that, see me and let me know. I'm not going to go through another example here in the slides. We're just going to jump on over to the next concept, which is inventory management. Now, managing inventory is one of the most important jobs in a pharmacy because we need to know what we have in stock ready to be sold for patients. We also need to make sure that, any expired medications or medications that will be expiring soon are pulled from the shelf. Usually we take out anything that's going to expire within 3 months. And we also can, most of the time, get a discount or a reimbursement from the wholesaler on expired medications. So in the pharmacy, controlled drugs are definitely going to be inventoried more often, especially in an institutional setting. You're usually going to do a count of your controlled inventory at the end of every shift change in a hospital. In a retail pharmacy, really just depends. You're required to do an inventory at least once a year. Most pharmacies operate on what we call a perpetual inventory that is going to be recorded electronically now. So perpetual meaning that it's constantly fluctuating. So when we get more inventory in, our stock will increase. And then when we sell medications, our stock is going to decrease. So we're just constantly, continuously restocking medications as we need them. So the amount of medication that we want to have in stock on hand at any time is what we call the par level. So once a medication reaches below that level, we need to reorder more. So very simple equation here. For example, if we wanted to keep 500 tablets of cetirizine 10 milligrams in stock at one time, and if we only had 200 tablets on the shelf, well, 500 minus 200 would be 300, right? We would want to order 300 more to get us back up to that par level. So calculations with par level are just simple subtraction problems here. And we can also discuss how to calculate the amount that we pay for each tablet as well, based on the cost of the stock bottle. So let's take a look at an example here from the book. So here we go. The par level for a loop diuretic furosemide 20 milligrams is 400 tablets. So we want to keep 400 tablets in stock at all times. The inventory available is 50 tablets. Available sizes of medication are as follows. We have a 30 tablet bottle for $3.90, a 90 tablet bottle for $9.90, and a 100 tablet bottle for $12, and a 500 tablet bottle for $40. How many tablets are needed to replenish the stock? Well, this is saying how many tablets do we need to reorder? Well, we want to keep 400 tablets on hand. We have only 50 tablets in stock. So remember the difference between the par level, 400, and what we have in stock, which is 50, is how much we need to reorder. So we need to reorder 350 tablets. Now it says, what's the cost per tablet for each size container? We have all of these different containers available. The reason why we're going to figure this out is to see what would be the best deal for us to get. So if we have 30 tablets for $3.90, They want the cost per tablet. So we can do this with a simple ratio and proportion. We know that we can get 30 tablets for $3.90. We want to know the cost for one tablet. So we're essentially just taking the cost of the bottle, $3.90, and dividing that by how many tablets are in the bottle. So a little shortcut, just take the cost divided by the amount that's in the bottle. So $3.90 divided by 30, that gives me 13 cents. So that's for the 30. Now for the 90, we have 90 tablets for $9.90. If you want to use ratio and proportion, you can set that up just like we did here, or we're just basically taking the cost divided by the amount. So we have $9.90 divided by 90 tabs, and that gives us 11 cents. So that would be 11 cents per tab. We're going to do the same thing for the next two bottles. We have a $12 bottle of 100 tabs. So 12 divided by 100 gives me 0.12 or 12 cents. And then I have $40 bottle of 500 tablets. So 40 divided by 500, that gives me 8 cents here. So now it says, what is the most appropriate size to order considering the cost? Well, let's look. We have 13 cents, 11 cents, 8 cents, and 12 cents. The cheapest quantity here that we see is 8 cents per tablet. So considering cost, we would get the 500 tablet bottle. Now, how many containers of this size should be ordered? Well, we only needed 350, so we're just going to order one bottle of the 500 count bottle because it's more than what we need, but we're getting a better deal on that. And you know, furosemide 20 milligrams already has a high par level. So, you know, going over that isn't going to hurt anything because we know that we're going to sell that drug. So when you're considering the cost, other factors do play a role, like how popular the medication is. You know, you wouldn't want to order a lot of a drug that you don't sell as often or that has a really high cost. So just some things to consider when we are managing our inventory. Here's another example in the slides here that you can take a look at. How many tablets are needed to replenish the stock? Well, we have a par level of 250. We have 138 tablets in stock. So the difference of those would give us 112 tablets. The stock size is available. We have a 30 tablet, a 60 tablet, and a 90 tablet container. This is just like the example I went through. We're going to set each of those equal to one tablet, or we're basically just dividing the cost by the amount that's in the bottle. That gives us the amount per tablet. We would probably choose to go with the 60 tab bottle because that gives us the lowest cost. And if there are 60 tabs in a container, we need 112 tablets. We would order 2 containers, which would give us 120 tablets, not too far over the par level. And once again, this is a drug that we would go through rather quickly. Okay, next concept here, we have inventory turnover rate. So a turnover rate is going to be how many times your inventory is completely sold over a specified time period. A lot of times we do turnover rates for the year, but you could also calculate that per month if we wanted to as well. So for turnover rate, listed on page 478, we're going to go through some examples on page 479 out of practice problems J. So when we're calculating the inventory turnover rate, we're going to take the total purchases by the pharmacy, and we're going to divide that by the average value of the inventory at one time. So most of the time we just take an average inventory once a month. So then once we have the monthly inventory, if we do that 12 times, we can divide that by 12 to find the average inventory to know how much we have roughly on hand at one time. Then we're going to take the whole purchases for that year and divide by that average inventory value. So let's look here at this example before we go into the book. So for the year, we spent $4,632,576.50 on our inventory. The average inventory value, so roughly at one time, we always have $532,618 on the shelf. What is the turnover rate? Well, all we do is take how much we've spent for that year, divide that by our average inventory value, and that gives us 8.7 times. So what that means is throughout the year, we have bought and sold our entire inventory roughly 8.7 times throughout that year. So that gives us an idea of, where our par levels need to be. Because if our par levels are set too high, we're not going to have that high of a turnover rate. So let's take a look. I'm on page 479, number 5. This one is a little bit more detailed than the other problems here, so I wanted to go through this together. So a pharmacy maintains an average inventory of $120,000. That's how much we have on stock on average at one time. The pharmacist is concerned that he keeps too much stock. He spends $870,000 per year for medications. He likes a turnover rate of 2.5 every 2 months or less. What is his approximate turnover rate every 2 months? Okay, so this is important here, every 2 months. Now we know the average inventory is 120,000, so that's just calculated on the monthly rate. So he spends $870,000 per year. So if I wanted to find out the cost that he spends per month, what I can do is divide this by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So 870,000 divided by 12 would give me 72,500 per month. That is the inventory. That's how much he's spending. So that's the cost per month. Now we want to find the turnover rate every 2 months. So if I take this times 2, that will give me the cost for every 2 months. So times 2, that gives me $145,000 every 2 months. So that's how much we're spending. Now in stock, we have $120,000 per month. So if I took that times 2, that would give me my average inventory for 2 months. So this times 2 would give me $240,000 per 2 months.